Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Well, it happened again. You know those same compassionate liberals? They play this character of being almighty and virtuous. Their virtue is not to be questioned. They are the best people in society, is what they want you to believe. Well, why is it that these people always end up getting exposed as absolutely vile individuals? Heartless, callous, mean-spirited, angry control freaks who basically abuse their staff. You know, Kamala Harris projects on the outside this:
never let anyone take your joy from you. I call myself a joyful warrior. Right? Never let anyone take your joy from you. You do what you gotta do. And isn't that a wonderful way to live? To know you have purpose.
But the way her former staff describe her is almost like a freaking tornado, ravaging across the office, destroying everything in its path, yelling, screaming, screeching, and abusing her staff. We saw the same thing with Chrissy Teigen, such a good Hollywood woke celebrity, a philanthropist, a woke warrior fighting for the marginalized, but of course she got exposed as a total bully. Ellen DeGeneres, the exact same thing, a person who crafted a career off her smile and her kindness, created a whole brand about being nice to people, fostered a hostile work environment, and verbally abused her staff every single friggin' time. And this time it happens again. Democrat Representative Katie Porter. Well, we might as well rename her to Democrat Representative Karen Porter, because new leaked text messages involving Mrs. Katie Karen Porter expose her for who she really is. A vile narcissist, an angry person who mistreats her staff, and fired one of her staff members for one of the most ridiculously unhinged reasons you could imagine. Let me show you guys exactly what I mean. We got leaked text messages exposing the whole damn thing. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, alright friends, take a look at this. Democrat Representative Katie Porter under fire for treatment of veteran fellow as former staffer decries culture of fear. The office of Representative Katie Porter, Democrat from California, is taking heat for how she treated a veteran and a former staff in July for allegedly violating office protocols by catching the coup. Screenshots of text messages between Porter and her former Wounded Warrior Program fellow, Sasha Georgiadis, were published by the Dear White staffer's Twitter account on Tuesday, or on Thursday rather. The post said that the text messages were shared with permission from the staffer who shared them, and they detail a conversation between Democrat Representative Porter and Georgiadis, that's a very rough name to say, over the office's COVID-19 protocols. Take a look at the text messages right over here. Dear White Staffers writes, vibe check. Representative Katie Porter fires staffer after both test positive for the virus. Full text from the Congresswoman firing the staffer via text, shared with permission from staffer. Today, why did you not follow office protocol on testing? It's really disappointing. I'm terribly sorry. You're right, I should have done better. Just because I felt okay in the moment doesn't mean that I was. Sasha, I cannot allow you back in the office, given your failure to follow office policies. Cody will be in touch about having your personal effects shipped or delivered to your home, and will lay out your remote work schedule and responsibilities for your last few weeks. I understand. Thank you for the last 2 years and all that I have learned. I hate to have disappointed you in the manner. As I know it isn't an excuse, I had found out that my friend from the Navy had been murdered, and my head was not in the best place. Not an excuse, but the reasoning for the lack of forethought. I appreciate everything this office has done for me. Well, you gave me the coup. In 25 months, it took you not following the rules to get me sick. My children have nobody to care for them. And here's where it gets even worse for Mrs. Porter. As if it wasn't enough for her to be a total tyrant in her office, and to fire one of her employees in such ridiculous manner, and in such a cold manner. The thread goes on with this little screen cap right over here. A message from caucus chair Amar Shergill. Great to see folks in person and in Zoom for caucus meetings this past weekend. We had great speakers and great troublemakers as usual. Truly appreciate that all of our in-person attendees wore face coverings to stay safe. Unfortunately, the CDP portion of the executive board meetings had lax face covering standards, and Representative Porter has was now reported positive for the virus. I encouraged the in-person attendees of our caucus meeting with Representative Porter to take appropriate precautions, including testings. At our meeting, I enforced a mandatory mask policy with support of our board. However, some speakers removed their face coverings when on the mic. I should have stopped their remarks and requested that they put their face covering back on. My apologies for this. It will not happen again. With a text message under, someone just sent me this, but this was after she knew that she had already been infected and she was still out. I mean, the utter hypocrisy. Apparently, allegedly, Mrs. Katie Porter fires her staff member for showing up to the office once and forgetting to do a mandatory test, which I guess they were testing people every single time they came in and out in the office. But that situation had happened. Mrs. Katie Porter then fires her staffer for supposedly infecting her, says specifically, "You made me sick," and then shows up in person to other meetings, showing the complete disregard and double standard. This whole situation is so ridiculous in so many different levels. First of all, we don't even necessarily know if Mrs. Karen here wasn't the one spreading it in the first place. Who's to say that it was the staffer that transmitted it in the first place? Second of all, the total disregard, the double standard, the hypocrisy, to then go to a representative meeting and not be on Zoom, to actually go there in person, considering the militaristic policies that you employ in your own office and the standards that you set for your own staffers. It does not get more hypocritical than this. In fact, it does not get more Democrat Party than this. Rules for thee, but not for me. And of course, now Mrs. Democrat Karen is facing a little bit of backlash for just her overall attitude. I mean, I get it. It was her office policy. The employee supposedly, from what we understand, broke the policy. And so some people might be willing to defend her. But it's just the whole attitude of it. This person who worked for you loyally for 2 years, making one supposed mistake once, and to just be so vicious in the way that you handle the situation, so emotionally detached, just pack your stuff and get out of here and work from home for the next 2 weeks. Well, in my opinion, rightfully so, she's facing backlash. And in true Democrat fashion, here's the response. Democrat Katie Porter denies firing staffer over virus diagnosis after leak of hostile text message exchange. Yes, of course, Mrs. Porter. I'm sure everyone believes you, even though we literally have the text messages that prove the exact opposite and that you're essentially a toxic, hostile boss. I'm sure everyone's just gonna give you the benefit of the doubt. You know what? I'm sure the next excuse is gonna be the Joy Reid excuse. My account was hacked. It wasn't me. I didn't say that. Somebody hacked my cell phone and wrote those messages for me, and I just never noticed that they were there. How ridiculous is this? This is the excuse that her office is releasing. She was a fellow in our office, and weeks before she breached our policies or our protocol in July, we had already mutually agreed on an end date in August 2022. Oh, how convenient. I'm sure that's the case. Congresswoman Porter was informing her that she would work from home for the remaining 3 weeks of her fellowship. Sure. And even if that's the case, it still doesn't justify the tone and the basic level of disrespect for another human being for something so ridiculous. But of course, we know the reality here. It's yet again another toxic, power-tripping Democrat Karen. Mrs. Sasha Georgiadis comes in to clear the record. Porter has been praised by those on the left for videos of her tough questioning during congressional hearings, but Georgiadis says that her combative attitude extends also to staffers who make mistakes. She has made multiple staffers cry, and people are generally so anxious to even staff her because if anything goes wrong, she flips out on whatever staffer is present. Georgiadis said to Fox News, she just talks to staffers however she wants. It's Kamala Harris version 2.0, Ellen DeGeneres, probably Nancy Pelosi and Hillary Clinton are all the same. Power-hungry, power-tripping Democrat Karens who generally just mistreat people around them. Stuck-up, elitist snobs who have no respect for human beings working under them. Another example of virtuous leftoids, essentially being the exact opposite behind the scenes. That's what I got for you. Hopefully you enjoyed this. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel if you guys are up for it. I'm gonna get out of here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Oh, and of course, Happy New Year.